Hey, what's up, fellow glitches? It's been a while since I've knocked out a video. I wanted to do another one here for us. This one's inspired from Atomic Yen. He is a great content creator as well. I'm going to link his video down here in the bottom. Got me thinking I should probably put out some more good stuff. So I did a cool little video, something similar to this. So the music that's playing right now is actually non-copyrighted music. Just kind of a bonus. And then it kind of scrolls in, does a little thing, give it a little point. You know. And then it fades back into the gameplay or chat screen or whatever screen you have. So it just overlays on top. I'm going to show you how to do that on the video today. Uses a couple other plugins as well. So if you don't have MoveSource, if you don't have the freeze frame plugin, go get those. Come back and I'll show you how to set it up on the video today. Let's get started. Hey, welcome to our YouTube series. Here's where we look at anything we do to help you out with your stream. Now, whether that's visual, audio, or brand. I'm your man, The Argument Monk. Today we're going to be looking at how to set up a really cool meme. If you haven't done so already, give me some love on the YouTube side of things. Thumbs up goes a long way. Comment your life away. Hit the subscribe button. Helps me out. Helps the channel out. And if you haven't seen me yet on live on Twitch, hey, come in, jump in, say hi, hang out, and make fun of me. It's always a really good time. Anyways, with the basics out of the way, let's get started on the video. I do want to let you know anything you need here for us. I'm going to link down in the bottom of the video. So if you want to set this up for yourself, there's going to be an installation path there so you can get all the assets for you. Very easy and very fun to set up. Let's get started. All right, folks, I'm going to walk us through our Bond meme installation. It's important to make sure to name everything exactly as is, so it sets up for Leoran board later. I mean, you can rename things, but you're going to be naming things a couple of times in Leoran board. But if you copy exactly the same names as you see during this installation, it should work seamlessly with our Leoran board deck. So what we need to do is create a new scene labeled Bond. I have Bond 2 down here just in case I goof things up. But basically a new scene named Bond. In here I have my desktop being captured. That way you can see everything that's here for us. But later on we're going to delete this later on. We're going to open up the folder that comes down with the downloads. So once you open up that folder, you're going to see a bunch of assets. We're going to highlight and copy these assets here. Everything except for the deck. That's going to be used for Leoran board later on. And then we're just going to drag and drop these sources into the scene. If you can't drag and drop sources into the scene, reopen OBS Studio with the administrative permissions turned off, and you should be able to just drag these right into the scene. Once I do so, you're going to hear a bunch of sound effects and music popping off, but I'm just going to quickly hide them as quickly as I can here. Just hiding these assets, and we'll play with them in just a second. All right, so now we can go ahead and make this nice and big. And we get a little bit of streamception here for us. We have everything populated in here, but we do need a couple of more things for sources. So we're going to go underneath sources. We're going to hit plus. I'm going to add a color source. You probably won't have this one already for us. Basically, we need to make a white background. Call it Bond White, and then hit OK. We have this nice big white background. If you need to change the color, you can change the color and do so. And then I'm going to go ahead and push it down to the bottom of our scene list there. Next, we need a camera source. You can use any camera source that you already have set up. This works best with the green screen, but if you don't have a green screen, it will still work. So you're going to do your video capture device. I use source mirrors a lot, so I already have one made. So I'm just going to do source mirror. I'm going to hit add existing for me, Bond Cam Freeze. But if you need to bring in your own camera, go ahead and do so. But basically, this is the camera we're going to use for us. You can see my big, ugly mug right over here. Of course, this is a little bit bigger than what we need. I'm going to go ahead and shrink this guy down. And then I'm also going to hold Alt. I'm going to crop off my camera or my microphone in that little fuzzy section over there. So a little bit smaller. I'll just put myself down here in the corner for now. So we need a camera. This is already chroma keyed for me. You're going to want to chroma key it out. And you're also going to add one more filter as well for it. So if you right click and go into filters, I already have it set up here, but basically you're going to need to add your freeze right here. Label it freeze cam. So if you don't know where that is, hit plus, go into freeze. And again, if you need to make sure to have this plugin installed, I'll link the plugin into the video for us. And then go ahead and label that freeze, the name freeze cam. And then when the eye is enabled, you can see that it will freeze my camera for us, and then when we unhide it, we're going to go back to normal. So that's important, so when we do our little gunshot, it will freeze for us as well. All right, so we can close that guy. Kind of done with that for now. Underneath the white, there's a couple filters that we're going to need to do. So right click, hit filters. I already have them populated for us, but you're going to need to make a color correction. And then a couple of move values. So this is going to be plus. That's where color correction is. And then we're going to do move value. We're going to enable the move value bond white fade out. The filter is going to be the color correction. That's this guy up here. And then I uncheck single setting if you want to mess with different settings. And so for the fade out, I went ahead and made the opacity 0. And then I went ahead and made the duration 4,000 milliseconds. And then I also went ahead and did no easing. The start trigger is enable and disable the trigger when the move is done. And then very similarly with the fade in, this is where it will basically reset the whole system for us. The same filter is going to be this color correction here. For this one, I went ahead and made the opacity 100, so it's 100% white. And then duration, I went ahead and did 2,000, which is a little bit crazy for me. I don't know why I did that much, but I don't think it matters because it's the end of the trigger anyways. And then start trigger again is enable and disable trigger when it's done, and no easing. So it's already there for me. So make sure you have those filters set up because we're going to be using them and triggering them in a little bit. Let's go ahead and line up as best we can our assets. So here we have the Bond gun. I'm going to go ahead and make it a looping resource for me so I can kind of line this up. It's not 1080, excuse me, not 1080p. You can see it's a little bit smaller, so I'm going to hold Alt and I'm going to crop the edges down as best as I can. A little bit of eyeball work here as the asset is playing. And then I'm going to hold Alt on the other corner and I'm going to try to get this guy as close as I can to where that is. I need to see it play a couple of times. Come on, a little bit of this I think that's pretty close. A little bit more on this side. And then we're going to go ahead and get this guy up into the corner, and then we're going to stretch it out to fit the camera scene. So a little bit off, but I'm going to overstretch it, and hopefully that'll be pretty good for us. I might have to zoom in and make it a little bit more accurate if I need to. All right, so we're done with that one. We're going to go ahead and add a filter to it while we have it open. It's going to be basically my chroma key. That way that green bubble will turn away and go away. That's great. And then we're pretty much done with it now. I'm just going to turn the looping off and then unhide it so it's out of our way. And then I'm going to also go to the Bond Blood. This is the blood animation that overlays over our camera. And I'm going to turn the looping on real fast. So we're going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to go up to the corner. Let me lock this other one so I don't mess it up. And I'm going to hold Alt to crop down the sides. And then I'm going to hold Alt on the other opposite corner and crop down the sides. We're going to push it up into the corner. And this one I think is a little bit different on the aspect ratio. Yeah, it is. It's way different, but it doesn't really matter. Just want to make sure it's full screen. And then also on this one, we're going to do a filter. And similar to the last one, we need to do a couple different filters here. So first thing we need to do is add a chroma key. So the green goes away. And then we need to do a couple of other move values. So we're going to do a color correction. And then very similar to the last one, we need to do a couple fade in. So I'm going to do a new move value. We're going to call this Bond Blood fade out. And the filter is going to be the color correction. take the single setting off. For fade out, I kind of want to make it completely transparent. So I'm going to take the opacity and I'm going to bring it down to 0. And I don't exactly remember what delay I did. I think I did 3,000 milliseconds. I think that's right. If not, I'll bring in my other asset and double check. Easing, no easing. And then the start trigger is going to be activate, deactivate, enable, disable. Enable, disable until the move is end. So that's pretty much it for that one. I'm going to duplicate this, and then I'm going to rename it Bond Blood Fade In. And then for this one, we're going to take all the same settings except for the opacity. I'm going to bring it into about 50%. And then this can be pretty much instant because this is basically going to be a reset for us. So I'm going to change the time to like 200 milliseconds or something like that. Okay. And then everything else should be good on it. All right. Close that guy right there. And then we're going to change the looping to turn back off. And then hit the eyeball so it's gone away. Okay, so now is the more difficult part, is going to be setting up our camera positioning. What I did is I included a bunch of cam position JPEGs in here for us. So I'm going to start with cam 2, cam 1. I'll unhide this real fast. Let me lock these other things so I don't move them as I'm doing it. And so what we need to do is make this kind of full screen and use it to line up our camera. So first thing I'll do is going to do filter. I'm going to add a chroma key to it so I can kind of see where we're going. And then I'm going to basically make this full screen for us. There we go. And then I'm going to highlight my camera, which should be named Bond Freeze. We're going to unlock it, and I'm going to move myself kind of in here. Now, I set this up to be kind of modular in a way because, I mean, for my stream, I'm going to have it kind of focused in on my face, but maybe your camera's set back further and you can have it full body. Basically, you're going to want to put yourself into this little lineup as best you can. So I'm going to make myself a little bit bigger and probably right about here. Probably a little bit bigger than that. And then I'm going to take my actual camera and I'm going to drop it below these JPEGs so I can kind of see what it looks like. And I'm pretty happy with that. So yeah, we're going to need to do that for every single one of these positions. But right where we have it right now, we're going to go into the scene. I've already populated these, but you're going to need to populate and move sources here. So underneath the scene itself, right click, go to filters, and then we're going to need to do a new move source. So plus move source, and then we need to make sure that the labels are correct. We need to make 7 of them, cam 0 through 6. So this one, if you see, it's the JPEG says cam 2, cam 1. So I'm going to highlight cam 1, and I'm going to get the transform. I'm also going to highlight cam 2. I'm going to scroll down to make sure this source is the camera. And I'm going to get the transform. Okay, and then I'll go over the settings kind of after this. But we're going to close this for now. And that's kind of all I need to do, and we'll go back to the other ones in a second. So we're going to do that for the other 2 positions. So I'm going to unhide that. We'll lock it real fast. We're going to go to 3 and 5. We're going to bring it back in. And I need to go ahead and make a filter on it. And we're just going to add a quick chroma key to it. And then we're going to scroll this guy down so it's full screen. And then I'm going to take my camera and I'm going to move it over. Excuse me. And then once I'm pretty happy with it, I'm going to go underneath the Bond filters again. And then this is the 3 and the 5. So we need to highlight cam 3. And we're going to get this transform. And cam 5. And we're going to get this transform. Okay. And then we can unhide that guy, lock it. We're going to bring this one in, unlock it. And we're going to do the same thing. Pop a filter on it. That filter is going to be a nice little chroma key. And then we're going to make it full screen. And then we're going to move our camera, which again is named BondCam Freeze, over to the side. Try to move it just left and right. If you move it up and down, you might have to go and manually change your coordinates. That way it's seamless left and right. If you have it going up and down, it looks a little weird. But if you need to, you can go in there and just manually populate the coordinates. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go underneath the bond. We're going to go underneath filters. And then this one is just based off that JPEG that we have down below. 4, get the transform. And 6, get the transform. And the last one is a little bit weird because it's going to be depending on your camera size. It's going to be off screen to the right, so I'm going to push this off screen to the right, and it's going to be right about here. You might have to adjust this and play with this a couple of times because based on the starting position, it's going to be that first couple of animation speeds. And so right about here is kind of close to it, but again, you might have to play around with it. And again, we'll right click on filters, and then this one is Cam 0, the off screen one. And then we'll go ahead and pop in and get transform. The last thing we need to do is kind of go over the actual timings, and I'll just quickly go over these while I'm here. So Cam 1, your duration should be 4,000 milliseconds. Might have to tune it a little bit, but this is kind of what works great for me. Easing is no easing. Nothing to worry about the visibility or the audio. The start trigger should be enabled, disable trigger, move when it's done. And then we're actually going to trigger a next move, Cam 2. So it's going to instantly go from the first movement to the second movement. So if we go down to Cam 2, I don't know why it's thinking. Sorry, that was kind of weird on there. It was as I clicked it, OBS was like, I'm going to crash on you. I've been having OBS crashes lately, and I don't know why. I might have to reinstall it or something. Because there's literally like nothing running in the background. I am running an ARC server right now, so maybe that's why. Anyways, we're going to go down to Cam 2. And you're going to see that the duration on this one is 3,400 milliseconds. And this is kind of important that you're copying these exact because that's going to be your speed and then your trigger time for your next animation movement. You might have to tune it a little bit if your computer happens to load assets at a different speed or frame than mine, but this should be pretty close to accurate. Easing, no easing again. And then start trigger is the same. And the next move is triggered on Cam 3. And so if we go to Cam 3, this duration is 600 milliseconds. No easing again. Same start trigger, and then next move is Cam 4. So if you go into Cam 4, this duration is 1100 milliseconds. No easing again. And then start trigger is the same. Also, next move Cam 5. And so it will go into 5. Custom duration is 1100 milliseconds. And then we have, again, no easing. Start trigger is the same. And the next move is Cam 6. So we go to Cam 6. Custom duration is 1100 milliseconds. Again, no easing. Same trigger. And then we go to Cam 0. And on Cam 0, I had just have it sliding off pretty quick at 250 milliseconds. And no easing again, same start trigger, and then no next move. So that's going to be the end of our movement chain. It's just important that you make sure that you're still highlighting that source as your BondCam Freeze source. So it should be triggering automatically for us. Okay, so other than that, we're pretty much set up for us. Let's go ahead and go into the Stream Deck itself and set it up. Okay, so what you want to do is navigate into where your Leorn board is installed. And yours may or may not look like mine. You might have more decks. You might have your backup decks listed if you have like the newer version. I'm rocking an old school version. I should probably update eventually, so I don't have my backups showing up here. I've just been manually backing up mine and stuff. It's like that. Yeah, whatever. So anyways, what you need to do is connect down to, you can see how it has all your configs in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, all the way down to 9. So basically, there is, the way it works is it's all numbered up. So what you want to do is go into the Leorn board here. I have config X. If you copy this guy here, paste it, and then just change the last number into whatever that's going to be. So X, I'm going to change X and then hit 10. I'm not going to do that because I already have the my deck installed, but this will install the deck for you. And so if you go into the Leorian board itself, it should show up as your, after you might have to close it and reopen it, but Bond meme should be the last one there for you. And then while we have this open as well, I'll let you know kind of what it looks like. I just have basically the main button trigger itself. And then I wanted to give some love to my friends. So if you haven't done so already, help me out with a follow on my YouTube and on my Twitch right here. And then, of course, we have Andy Lippy and, of course, Atomic Yen, who kind of helped inspire me to make this guy to begin with. So give follows and loves to all of us. We would appreciate that. And then if you go underneath the actual deck itself, underneath the triggers, you'll see all of the triggers for this deck. So pretty simple on there. Everything's based on this timing over here. So if you have to adjust any timing, you can do so, but make sure that you kind of adjust everything in its daisy chain format. So like if you have a music file that might make sense to start a bit later, you can do so by changing that file on there for us. And then I have all the assets that we have in here with its start times. The filters, we have that set up there as well. So the freeze camera starts at a certain time. Same thing with the fade outs, specific timing. So you can adjust the timing if you want, but if you have everything in here copied as far as the same name, it should work right out the gate for you. All right. And then of course it resets itself by turning everything back to false and then fading itself back in at the very end. And that should be it. All right. I did forget a couple things on there. One of the things I've had before was a little bit of a glitch with the fading. So if you go underneath the Bond Blood, for example, I hit filters. Sometimes this color correction gets set to black. And so I've literally just had to delete it and remake it and go back to white. And I've also had sometimes these move values not actually work for me. So a couple of times I've had to delete them and remake them. And then making sure, like, for example, this one has a fade out down to 0. And underneath the Blood, I like to have it down to like 50%. So it's still like half transparent. And then also just make sure that your layers are in order. So the Blood, for example, should be on the very, very top. And then afterwards, like I said, you can just take this entire scene and nest it over your gameplay or whatever. But let's go ahead and give it a test and see if I set this up correctly. And we'll hit the button and move this over to the side. Looks like the music's going. That's a good thing. And it pops on. Kind of like it. The lineup is pretty good. I like it. Let's give it a gunshot. Boom! All right. And then it should fade back into gameplay or something like that. So yeah, that should be everything for it. Like I said, just nest this on top of your gameplay or your chat screens or whatever, things like that. And you should be all set. I'll see you glitches on the next video. Be safe, y'all, and take care, y'all.
Save me, Bob. Thank you.
I just killed 4 people.